We'll cool off.
And he was smart enough. Twy was smart enough to get a hat. So this the one smart guy out the group right here. Clearly.
Regarding the V8s, man, I definitely still think there's a visceral need for the folks who buy cars.
For sure. For sure.
To grab those. And, you know, you have certain companies who still, you know, they still able to take it there. I think when you look at different manufacturers and you look at their portfolio, I don't know about internationally, but at least here in the States, you know, when you have certain mandates as far as, you know, when you reach a certain year, we need X amount of year, certain manufacturers are tooled a little bit differently in terms of their capacity on the assembly line to be able to, number one, tool a V6 engine versus a V8. Number two, if you got 20 other models of cars where you can have a super efficient vehicle here and kind of midline here, that gives you room to pursue an all-out screaming V8 because overall your portfolio fits what the government needs for you to do over the next 4 or 5 years. So, you know, different car manufacturers fall in different spaces. The fact that you still have cars out like
That's
exactly. It's awesome that we're able to still do that and still, you know, abide by the regulations and guidelines and move towards, you know, whatever folks want to move towards when it comes to emission standards, etc.
So essentially, you're saying the Hummer offsets the.
I mean, you're right. You're right because it's a certain percentage that each manufacturer have to make for BEVs, for PHEVs, and for traditional vehicles. And BHEV is going to be your battery EV. Your PHEV is going to be your hybrid EVs, and then traditional is going to be your petrol or diesel, whatever they need to sell. And so there are manufacturers who just decide to go all traditional and went all in, was getting taxed, and then never made EVs, and they're reaping that now for not following that initiative from the government. And then you have manufacturers like Ford who took huge losses because they went all EV, and so you see two different spectrums. And then you have GM. Right, GM went in the middle, and they I feel like looked at the balance sheet and was like, okay, this is what we can do, this is what we can do, and this is how we can continue to hit that market as well. And this is not a knock to any automaker, but I feel like that once you drive a car built from someone who takes the time to build out, you know, what the government is actually looking for and try to meet needs of everyone, you then are able to put more emphasis on what the consumer want, which is why the C8 is here, compared to what we need to hit goals. And that is why this is such a successful brand. And this is not me knocking any other brand because, you know, you guys knew you know my history. You know, well, if you followed me for a while, you know my history. You know what I drove before. You knew who I was contracted with. Great vehicle, but this right here is just a different vehicle. And for me, I'm a car whore. Go back and look at my page. I've driven so many different vehicles. I'm not just going to stop per se on one vehicle just because I love one, because that's like me buying Jordans all my life and never experiencing a shoe brand.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. You know, I mean, going back to your history with vehicles and brands. I mean, the good old days a couple years ago where some of these manufacturers were just paying the credits, you know, so they could continue to make these large V8s. I respect that big time, but we had a conversation at my house, I think yesterday when you brought this by, and you said, I'm looking for a Z06. I said, what? I didn't expect to hear that. So, I mean, for someone
you're not supposed to tell them that. I don't want them to know that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
It's going to be announced
possibly, you know, getting a Z06. We'll see.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about.
But, I mean, to hear that and knowing you've been fairly brand loyal, right, and that you're interested in a car like this, or saying I would pursue one in the future, right? That to me was kind of eye-opening. So I haven't got to drive it yet. That's what I'd say changed your mind.
So, it was completely changed my mind.
And here's what I'd say. You know, as someone that, you know, I've got a Dodge truck, love it, a Ram, I guess now, but I love it. I'm not specifically brand loyal. I like what I like. You know, you've got GM here. You've got
he don't got no brand loyalty.
He like what I like, and I can appreciate that when you try something new and you determine that it's for you. And you change your mind. I mean, that's what growing as a human is all about, right?
It is.
And you know, next week something else could come out that you like more. Who knows?
You're right.
So
you're right.
But that's the fun of it, and that's what makes the competition in the car industry is what really drives the progression and the innovation, and I think that's what we're seeing. You know, I've been a little nervous that we're coming out of kind of the golden age again. You know, you think of the late 60s into early 70s of like muscle cars and sports cars in the U.S., and that was the golden age, right? And then all the emissions kind of killed that. and I've been feeling like we were heading that direction again.
Yes.
And we've kind of missed a little of that golden age, or it's behind us now. But I applaud the manufacturers like GM that are doing things like this to continue that, and the V8's pushing that, right?
So,
corporate culture, man.
Yes.
If you go online and look at some of these companies, it becomes really apparent who's doing what and why.
Right.
You look at the project teams, for example, behind the C8, they're car guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had carte blanche.
Yep.
I love
we
that.
need this, like, and like that corporate culture is a huge part of.
And they have the company, the actual parent company behind them, which
Correct.
we don't see that happening with some of the other automakers out there, right? Some of the big supercharged V8s,
Right.
the parent company was not behind them,
Right.
and you saw that die.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
behind this car. The parent company is behind this car.
The accountants will kill it real fast.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, exactly.
And that's,
Exactly.
and as
Exactly.
car guys, that hurts, you know?
Yep.
It's like,
It
oh,
does.
man.
It does. All right, now, question is, are you going to get a ZR1? Because this is the guy I need to be asking, because he'll pop up and he'll have a McLaren in the driveway, and I'd be like, yeah, I just woke up and decided I wanted one today. So are you interested in the ZR1, the Zora, the Z06? Like, what's on your mind?
So, you know, to be completely honest, so I'm definitely interested. If I had the space for it, the
That is true.
Z06 would
That is-
already
yeah,
be
yeah.
in the lineup. Like that.
I think
Love
your
the
next
car.
purchase should be actual, like, building
Correct.
to hold your cars
Correct.
at this point. Yeah. And then you let me know when you get it, because
Rent
we're going to
us
rent
some
space.
Right.
Yeah,
Make it bigger
once
than
he
you
get his
think it
building, then I can rent y'all a space in his building as well.
Yeah,
Spots
you
are
can.
going for $100 a month. I'm just gonna let you. We're gonna,
Sign me up.
we're gonna let you guys know, and then once we get this thing 70% booked, they're going up to $500 a month. So just let you guys know. So just let us know when you get it booked, so I can get it booked out for you.
Some ventures probably will in the very near future push me towards some commercial real estate, which includes
sure.
storage of vehicles. For sure.
Could have got it. Could have caught it.
Yeah.
So all right. So if it wasn't for space, what would be next for you? If your garage is completely empty, what would be your top 3 cars?
True. With an empty garage, just for so even yet the Z06 is still like that needs to be a part of the line.
Yep. There you go. Y'all hearing it from him as well. I didn't pay him for this.
No, that needs to be part of a lineup.
Yep.
All in, and I mean there are some supercars that capture my attention over the years. I've driven those. I've had experience with those. But Z06, McLaren 700 series McLaren. So
Okay. Yep. Yep.
that would
720 was a blast.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a blast. That's
Right.
still hands down one of the funnest cars I've driven.
right.
So the only downside of that is the 720 exhaust. It was not loud enough for me whatsoever. The car was a blast. If you straight pipe the 720, then you couldn't sell me on anything else. This to me is, I would put this at number 1.5 on the list, and I'm gonna say 1.5 because the other 1.5 is gonna be the 720, and the only reason this is up there with it is because of the exhaust noise from factory. Literally, that's the only reason. The 720 to me is still hands down the best supercar that you can buy out. But everybody don't have $400,000
That's what
to
I
$1
was gonna say.
million.
It really comes
You know?
down to the attainability. You know,
Yeah.
are we
Yes.
talking dream cars here? Or are we talking about what's attainable? And for me, you know,
Well,
Z06 was
you
what
haven't
was
met my
attainable.
friend
Yeah.
here. Any car is attainable.
But even at some point, you have to make decisions. If
Yeah.
you've got other vehicles, right? If you want a one pony stable,
Yep.
then yeah, you can go and spend. But everyone's got to make financial decisions, and it's like,
Absolutely.
do I have this as a secondary fun car, and I've got to have a fun daily as well,
Yep.
or is this the car, and
Yep.
I'm going to drive it every day? And so I think
Which is why I like this.
at varying
'Cause
levels,
this is that.
of, you know, income and financial
Yep.
stability. You know, you've
Yep.
got to make those decisions, and for me, this is something that's pretty attainable. And right now, you know, you're still dealing with some markups.
Oh yeah, attainable
You're dealing with
for
some markups.
for who?
Yeah. Well,
Because you got people right now that's watching this.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, absolutely not attainable for me.
you know, and here's what I'd say is continue to work hard. You know, I was not in a position to be able to buy this car 4 years ago. You
Yep.
know, and things can change in your situation really quick. You put your head down and you save, and you're smart with your money. It's not all about that monthly payment. You know, if you save and save and save, you can put down a good chunk, and then your monthly payment is manageable. And so
Yep.
it really just a lot of it comes down to if you're willing to wait, be patient.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you know, it's we want that instant gratification. We all do, but
That's social media
Since I've
crazy.
known you 5 years.
Yep.
How long have I been talking about getting the C7 and the
Since
Z06?
probably when I first met you.
Yes, the
Yeah.
very first time we talked cars, I'd say, and you know, wanted one for years. There were other things that came first and were a priority, and, you know, working on the house and getting the boat so that we could share that with friends. And so it all comes down to priorities.
He got a killer man cave, y'all. That's what he's talking about. That's working on the house. His man cave is like absolutely marvelous. So.
Yeah, and we did that because as a family, we could share that with our friends. This was me and one other person, right? Or me and my wife. And then a kid was on the way, and we had one in January. And so last year I had put it off for long enough.
One of two.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, let's see. So my wife said, you know, it's been your dream car before we have our first baby. You go ahead, get your car. I want you to get your car. And I said, I'm not sure, you know, financially, I wanted to save more. And she said, and for us, it was the right time. And she said, go get it if it's the car. And we found it up in Salisbury. And for me, buying a car like this, making a purchase, I want to see it in person. So it would have been difficult if I had to fly somewhere and check it out at a dealership. And everyone's idea of mint condition is very
a little bit different.
And so I like my things to be pretty mint. So I was able to drive there, see it in person. She said, if it's a car, buy it. And we did. And I'm very happy with that. And, you know, it may not stick around forever. We'll have to see, you know, different things and changes in life and family and things. But I can say I had it and I enjoyed it. And either whether I come back to one in the future, if I have to sell it or whatever the case may be, that was important to me. So, but it took. I've been wanting one since I was a kid, you know, and it took me that long to get it. So.
And an important thing to say though is, out of all of that, this guy put himself in the situation. Kevin put himself in the situation to buy that car. He financially was there, credit score he was there, obligations in life he was there. So without him being in that situation, he would have bought a C7 with a 25% interest rate, paying $2,000 a month. But he knew he wanted that, so he set himself up to get there. Which, same for Twa. Twa put himself in the situation that he's in to have, and I'm gonna show you guys, so just that beat footage is gonna come. But you'll see that he has many toys, but he put himself there financially. He put himself there credit score wise. He put himself there in life, and he works for himself. He made it all happen for himself. So this is like true testament. Like, if you really want something, you'll go get it, right?
Yeah. You find a way to do it, you know, and there's going to be setbacks, and you set goals, and you may say, I want to buy X date, and it's okay to push that if things change in life, right? So I've been one, everyone's different in how they view finances, but if it's not the right time, I'll push it back.
It's not the right time,
you know? And I've done that. And with the market through COVID, I would have had one earlier, but the market went crazy, and I said, I'm not going to go out and buy one right now. That's marked up 10, 15,000. You know, some of these cars.
That's now marked down 15,000.
Correct. Yeah. So I waited until it came down to a point where I was comfortable, and I researched. I knew the market for years ahead of time. I knew what was a good deal when it popped up. You have to be ready to jump on it when that deal pops up. So
Is it the same for you? Because I know that when you see something, you want it. And I'm being honest here. When you see something, you want it. Is it the same for you? Does price matter as much to you in your situation?
Price matters, but it's always been a case where my personal and my business, me being a car guy, typically there's some large business benefit to me purchasing said vehicle.
Okay.
So I try to find ways to make those two worlds, personal and business, gel together where it still makes sense for me.
So price don't really matter then. Because it's going to help you out.
Vehicle. If it's something hard to find, I mean, you've got to jump on it, right? But if it's something you can be picky on, and that's what the C7, you can be picky. You can wait it out. But
you don't wait around for a Hummer.
Exactly.
You don't. You find it and then you just jump it. You jump and grab it. So that's why I'm asking, because, and it's not to put you on the spot or anything like that, but price to us matters more than maybe it would for you. Is what I'm trying to say.
So, of all the vehicles I have, I'll say this. If you take a look at expenses and business, all these vehicles still make sense. These weren't a splurge for me.
Okay.
It kind of fit. Like, I'm still not going crazy.
Okay.
And saw a vehicle that was X, Y, or Z. All these kind of made sense. They fit these boxes. They saved me X amount here. So that was the move, you know. So it kind of came down to 4 vehicles here.
And by saving, you're talking tax benefits.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So he's smart. There you go. He's smart with his finances. So again, you can't have all this without being smart with your finances. And this is something that you learned over time, or were you taught this young?
Learning over the last 5 or 6 years.
There you go. Yeah. And it's likewise for me. This is something that I learned, I would probably say, in my late 20s. I wasn't taught this, and usually we, as African Americans aren't taught this, and now I'm going to throw this on you. Was this something that you saw growing up, or were...
It was, yeah. My parents were very frugal. My parents bought old leftover Buick LeSabres from family. You know, they just didn't enjoy cars. My grandfather did, and we always had that in common. He passed away when I was in like 8th grade, so we didn't get to share that once I could actually drive. But it did not come from parents. The financial acumen did, but just about saving and being good with money. But you know,
that's what you're talking about. Not the money.
I had to learn to apply that to vehicles because my parents didn't care. They just drove whatever they could that was cheap, right? So that piece of it was different and learned later in life. So, and depreciation, thinking about that, because it's not just what did I buy this car for. If it's not going to be something you're going to hold on to for a long time, it's what's my exit strategy for when I want to get out of it or need.
That is what I buy a car with in mind. What is my exit strategy? We're gonna wrap up this video here. You know, thank you for coming along to kind of listen to the journey and listen to how, you know, our experiences with cars have kind of shaped us to where we are today. Also my experience on the C8. Is there anything that you want to tie into it before we wrap this up? Anything you want to say? Final words, 30 seconds less?
No, I think, you know, if you like vehicles or whatever you're passionate about, find a way to make it happen and find a way, you know, even if it's not through work. For me, I wasn't able to build a career in something like with cars that I really am passionate about, but I found a career that I still enjoy, but compensates me in a way that then when I'm not at work, I can enjoy things that I like to enjoy, going out on the boat, hanging out with friends, cars. So, you know, you don't have to just have that one avenue that takes you down the car pathway or the automotive pathway to enjoy it and be a part of it. So that's what I'd say.
Cool. 30 seconds or less. Is there anything that you want to finish off?
Just find ways in your daily life, your monthly life, your yearly life to incorporate your passions and do the things that, you know, that complete you as individual. Just make time for it. Keep pushing. It's a marathon, right?
It is a marathon. It's definitely a marathon. But thank you guys for coming to watch this. This is Twa, my rich friend. This is Kevin, my rich friend. And you'll see us again in another video. Don't really know the time frame on it. We just have to make sure our schedules align with the world. But when you get us together, we make great content. So we're going to see you guys later. To the next video. Peace.